So it's 6 minutes on the go. I'm not sure if people will show up. Otherwise, we'll just have our pending conversation. We'll use this half an hour to to discuss.
Yes, yes. I will be very excited to talk to you. Okay, let's give it a try, because we did prepare in the end, right?
Yeah, it's a bit sad that we're on our own, but it's not surprising because there are so many roundtables. Oh, look, I think we have.
Yes, and there's a lot of roundtables, and there's not a lot of participants during the day. Remember how many watched the pitching that you did?
Oh, I think we were like up to 20. 20.
Oh, okay, that's a that's a lot. That's okay. Okay.
I see now somebody join, but I think it was from the organization or no, it's gone. Yeah, but if you look, I don't know how many were looking the live stage right now. I think at the beginning of the day there were 80 plus.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. 80.
Yeah. So yeah,
session that I saw, at the session that I saw, they had around 3 to 4 people watching each.
So
am I also entering and leaving?
Yeah. So what I did during my pitch, I invited them also to come to our session in case there were some interested ones. So they know about that, but it's I think the offer is maybe too broad right now.
They don't know what they're missing, right? Yeah, it's good that you invited them. Maybe it's also lunchtime, which is also quite a busy time.
Yeah.
It's 1:30 in Israel, 12:30 your time.
Yes, I was just now eating a sandwich to make sure I keep the sugar up. Yeah.
Are you going to the office in Switzerland, or are you working from home in Switzerland?
I'm so it's been quite a change in last week. Tomorrow the government will share the new guidelines. Reacted quite fast. They have been very proactive also since the whole focus of the virus started in Italy, and we have the headquarters there. So as of Tuesday, we're all working from home.
Okay. Yeah. Same here. Here, you probably see the numbers in Israel. The situation is very, very bad. Mostly, it's embarrassing to say, but mostly because of the citizens that are not listening to the guidelines. So we were actually in a lockdown until last week, and now the lockdown is off, but kids are still at home. And of course, if you don't have to go to the office, the preferred option is to stay at home. So most of the work from home, usually the startup and the ecosystem teams.
Yeah. So you guys are locked down.
Very nice communication. Yes, we were in lockdown.
That was tough actually. And right now it's coming the whole winter season here, and so it's going to be a challenging time towards the end of the year. And but let's see. Let's take it as it comes and try to make the best out of it. I think the conflict, like the challenge that I see in Zurich, it's more of an economic one. People are not not willing to compromise. I mean, they don't believe that the consequences that they are suffering on a health level, because it never really reached that point that it was saturated, and they don't believe that it outlines like it kind of goes above all the challenges in the economical side, right? Because we're going to seeing quite a challenging times economically overall, right? So that's how I perceive it. People are not willing to really kind of overreact or just go straight to lockdowns, and they are very getting into conversation and really opposing some of the recommended measures.
Yes. Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Coming back to see what we are doing with the session, do you want me to try another marketing option, or are we giving up on the people?
I don't know if we should get in touch with you've put the offer into the chat, right?
To the chart. Yes, the event chat.
Event chat.
You can also add another one. I see that I think that there's a lot of session. Let me check now. If I'm checking, I'm gonna leave, so I won't leave.
Well,
yeah, many session. Did you have time to do one-on-one meetings with people?
Not yet.
Or did you have?
I reserved some slots this afternoon, but I would say, yeah, I would say that we want to expect many people joining. Maybe what we do is take the time and maybe to share among each other. I would be very interested in understanding the activities that you're doing. I think that you are quite comprehensive on how you look at the whole landscape and how you're building the hotspots at world level. So.
Yes, absolutely. Sector, more about the ecosystem, because there's a lot to share. It's more about how to work with that you're interested in. It's more about the technology, specific technology. Where do you want me to start?
Right. So first of all, because you had this view, like this slide on all the different, I think it's like up to 7 labs that you are really kind of that you have developed within the group. So can you tell me a bit more about how do you coordinate those activities and how do you work on innovative topics? How do you get your mandates on which type of startups and technologies to scout? How do you really make sense of all that together?
This is very, very good question. By the way, before I jump into the answer, I see that there's other people also telling people to inviting them to the session. So I'm assuming it's the situation in all the other sessions. So ask a very, very good question. So we are a big community. The community is built out of scouts, which is like myself, who's responsible for specific geographical area. So I'm responsible for the Israeli market, and we have other people that are responsible for the US market and specific countries in Europe. And this is the community of the scouting. We also have the CVC, and we also have labs that are R&D labs. So for example, in Munich, so when I do, in addition to my role, I also received another role, which is building ventures. So also select a topic and to build a venture around it, meaning to really come from the idea into the product. So right now I'm working on a cyber topic. Surprisingly, I don't know if I shared with you, but I have a strong background in cyber. I was part of the intelligence force here in Israel. So I have the option to do 2 things. 1, to partner with startup. This is my role as a scout. 2, to go to the lab and work with the lab to develop the product after the ideation process. So Munich Re is basically the 3rd pillar is the investments, and Munich Re is a strategic investor. So in order to invest in a company, we have to work with it. I think you know it probably very well from Generali. We have to have a stakeholder that will be responsible for this partnership. He has to work with the company to understand he needs their product. The product is helping him to do ABC. And only after there is a engagement with the stakeholder in the organization, then we can go to the CVC and say, okay, let's invest. We want to engage further and so on. This is what happened with Next Insurance. And we invested last year $250 million into Next Insurance. And we worked with Next Insurance for many, many years, around 3 or 4 years already. So the investment was really the last milestone to go with them. But it's all started with partnerships.
Maybe
and there's
very briefly, Dikla here. So you do have this way. So you invest bigger tickets, and before doing an investment, you will go through a cooperation so that you will do the whole due diligence, but also have co-developed some solutions and would be already in a market together with the startup. Okay.
Exactly. Exactly that. So right now we're exploring other investment opportunity, but really strategic. So I will say, coming from the VC world, I will say that other investors that have a different perspective are more financial. They're looking for the returns, or they're looking to follow up and see what's going on with this startup, how are they developing. Usually we see that in insurance, that insurance companies do that when they just want to follow up, like they invest in robotics. There are no use cases today for robotics in insurance. So they just want to see how the company is developing with the technology. And maybe in 5 years, they will have a use case, but they're already there, right? Yeah. They're already doing the investments.
250 million, it's huge, right? So, I mean, this, it's almost, I mean, it's like Series D, or I think that you shared also an article there. But are you doing also like more early stage investments, or it's just purely in a later stages growth?
Also great. It's mostly about the use case. So we had opportunities. By the way, working with Israeli company, usually in Israel, you'll find early stage. Very difficult to find great opportunity from the partnership and from the investment side that are late stage. Not a lot of opportunity. Mostly because if entrepreneurs look at Israel as a beta site, or a site, meaning they have to validate the technology. They usually do the first POC with local player, but then Israeli dream is the American dream. Most of them are trying to go to the US. We saw it with Lemonade, we saw it with Next Insurance. Both were raised here and left Israel the minute they could. Now we see more interest in the European market, but still there's a lot of focus in the US market. Don't take it as a quote, but from my experience, I've been around for 14 years in this ecosystem. I think that the elderly entrepreneurs, the more experienced one, also in age, are also looking at Asia and in Europe. But the young are really, really eager to go to the US. We don't have any trend in the InsurTech with regard to geographical area. It's really a matter of opportunity. But we will see more stage here in Israel. And when I bring a great company to this great partnership, and my colleagues from the US bring a company, usually it's in different scale. So I brought a company that have 3 people, raised maybe 1.5 million. They will bring a company that have 80 people, raise 30 million. So it's not the same scale. And it's a question: how do we promote the Israeli? How do we really go for the performance task, and not through to the entire, looking at the customers, looking at how much they raise and so on, but really on the performance. I will say that when you need heavy tech, so Israel, it will be better. I don't know if better, but there's opportunity here. But it's for insurance sometimes to work with early stage. You need a lot of time because there's a lot of co-design with them, a lot of learning, a lot of teaching. And not all insurance companies have this time and these resources.
Yeah. So maybe to share a bit on my side on how we're doing it. So we're pretty much on the early stage. We're working with accelerators primarily for the whole sourcing activities and scouting activities. And then we have in our premises a lab as well, like a co-working space where we're having like about 15 startups. And those are like the place where you would develop these more stage co-design solutions together with the startup. So that would be really like into the pre-Series A. Series A as being like the hot spot. And now we're starting doing some investments. That's why I'm interested in understanding the value proposition and how you really kind of go with that, because we see obviously the opportunity. We're doing those collaborations. We're focusing a lot into the scale up towards the group, right? Which is both Munich Re and Generali. It's like one of these platforms that should be leveraged, right, with the global group. but we're starting really like very early. We identified some potential scale up and some kind of interesting areas to continue developing. However, in the investment side, we're not yet really structured as a fund, which I think, it's a missed opportunity when you're really developing in a structured way innovation. But so far, we're partnering with an accelerator in order to create a fund, a multi-corporate fund, in which we're going to do a bit more of this, the pay and spray and pray type of approach. So we will be investing very early stage and see how they develop. Try to then develop collaborations with them so that we can support those startups as well, increasing the value, and then kind of capture the value out of startups growing and going to the next into the next rounds. But obviously, it's a totally different game. And what I realized is that there are like these dual kind of approaches in the company. I was right now, like half an hour ago, I was in a call with some colleagues from the group. They are developing, and that's maybe like a good link here that we might have to explore. We are developing some activities in the area of cyber risk, cyber insurance, and there is really very early stage and imminent, but of course, we would like to build a bit of an observatory. We would like to kind of understand also which startups to scout on how to do it. And obviously the Israel sector is one of the best hotspots for that. Now I see that.
Right. I have a question. On one hand, you will invest. Are you investing by yourself or through the accelerators?
We build up a fund jointly. So we do have a kind of a fund approach.
Okay. And when you're working with Generali, is really similar to us. So you're looking for the stakeholder. You're trying to see if he has interest, if they want to co-develop something. This is the same strategy, right?
It is. We made so we're based in Zurich and Switzerland, and we obviously right now we were very focused on the Swiss market, but we reach a point where it's like the innovation capacities and capabilities that we're having, they're more prone to be global. So we're making this step we're globalizing much more the stakeholders and the way we do collaborations. So that's been one of the efforts, and we're continuing in that direction. So we have very well connections in Europe. So Generali is primarily very well extended and present in Europe. Markets such as Germany, Italy, and France. Those are like their flagships. So we are developing those connections, and now we're also having a lot of emphasis on group activities. There is a group innovation. There is a CDO as well, like a chief digital officer, and we're not there establishing more. But there is. I mean, I realize, and I'm in Generali since a year, and I realize how some of those approaches, or like really like the steps we're taking, we're still really like in some cases. We're still learning a lot. We're still really there's a lot of work into stakeholder management. There is a super great agenda on innovation, but now we need to make it happen, and we need to bring it really to the ground. And that's really like a challenge for us as kids. This is like our hotspot. This is like the sweet spot also on developing MVPs, preparing a scale-up propositions, and really kind of making it visible for the group. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very interesting. It's exactly like you told me in our last conversation that the challenges are, one, to push it internally inside the organization, two, to work with the startup. It's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. By the way, I think we have a comment here. Is there anyone with us? Because I don't know if he's referring to us. He say, "Hey, girl, thank you. Could you please talk a bit more about your company, create content during the event?"
Okay. I don't see anybody.
Is it for us? Do you see?
I don't think anybody is in the session with us. No.
It's not with us. Maybe asking somebody else.
But what do you reach?
Very interesting. It's interesting. Okay. It's interesting for me to hear a few months from now, and if you can share the challenges that you experience in the organization versus working with the startups. And it's interesting to hear which challenge was more challenging, basically. I think in the organization, there's a lot of challenges that are we cannot control, as resources, time, and so on. I think that with the startups, it's vice versa. They're pushing very, very, very hard, and you have to teach them how to go into the corporate path, especially the Israeli startup, which are amazing, cutting edge. But I think those are the two challenges. Very interesting for me to hear from you. How will you experience it in the following month?
Yeah.
Remind me to follow up with you on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we're a bit in the same boat. I'm also with the whole kind of current environment with COVID and everything, all the market forces. That's also interesting to see what's the impact in the insurance space overall, right? We see in terms of investments, interesting enough, for the InsurTech, we see but there is continuity. There was a bit of a bump on the road, but there's still growing. So I think that that's still very activated, the system. As you say, the startups are very much proactive and really kind of engaged. There is still a lot of substance on the development, on the innovations from the startup perspective. I see there a bit more from the corporate side. There is more this uncertainty. It's where I feel it the most, right? Like this kind of effect of not being able to take decisions as fast because of the whole uncertainty. It's a very critical moment right now, being in the end of the year, because it's when lots of conversations on funding and budget are happening. It's tricky timing, but I think let's see in a couple of months. What I realize also is that the new normal will be there to stay, right?
Exactly, and I think that you also have an advantage that you're able to do the investments regardless of the partnership path. I think this is a huge advantage. One, with how the ecosystem will receive you. Usually they will highly evaluate you, highly appreciate you, because one, you're an investor, two, you are a strategic partner. So you have two hats to play with them. It doesn't have to go together like it is with us. And I think this will be a great role working with the startup. In addition, it's allow you to be exposed to, I will say, early stage that sometimes are really offering cutting edge technology, are the one that you have to say, okay, this is the next ways. Well, you're already working with the next ways, it's different. So I think there's a lot of advantage in the path and the strategy that you build. Have a size of the venture already, or it will be according to the opportunity that you will see?
The size of the what? Of the fund, you mean? So we're working right now, as I said, together with an accelerator to build up this fund. We're inviting some other corporate partners to join. Right now, what we're doing, because the size is not reach already the kind of the fundraising targets, we are already starting in making some investments with from within the budgets of the accelerator, but those are not equity based. Those are like cherry picking startups from the type of the budgets that are going in. But I think midterm would be really like to go more into the area of to raise funding and manage that professionally. And I think like the proposition of multi-corporate funding, it's a good one. I think there is in Switzerland a lot of VCs that would offer CVC as a service. That could be also another thing that we're exploring. But it's very early. I think once more, we were pushing that quite a lot, but now it got a bit of less traction based on current circumstances, and probably like not the right time to make commitments on big funds. But the thing that I would like to follow up with you, Dikla, in a couple of months, it's more, you mentioned that you're doing a cyber project. And as I mentioned as well, we're also having quite a global initiative that is looking into this. And maybe that could be a good follow-up in a couple of months. If you can share anything on that project you're doing, or it's something that you can already comment.
Yes, so it's something that it's not shared yet. It's still in the initial stages, but I'm pretty sure that I will say in 2 months from now, I will have already the concept approved and shared. Right now, what I did is I built a little team that will do the validation stage here. So mostly was research, interviewing, understanding the needs, not to develop a product and eventually realize nobody wants it, to go the other way around, to ask if somebody needs it. Usually the use cases that I'm working on cyber are very, very different from each other, because we have a lot of use cases in Munich Re. We have the primary angle that we're taking for our primary companies and clients if they ask us. By the way, if Generali is a client of ours, it will allow me to support you somehow formally and offer a startup to you. So we should also check that. So coming back to what I mentioned. So on the cyber topic, it's a lot of topic. There's the accumulation topic, and then the IoT topic that I deal with, an automotive, cyber for automotive, and every use case is really different. Of course, the cyber insurance, the risk assessment, and so on. For some, I have to admit that we have opportunities here in Israel. For some, we selected non-Israeli companies, but there's a variety of topics. With regard to the project that I'm leading here, it's focused on small and medium-sized business. It's really in an ideation process. Really happy to share with you in a month or two after of sign from the organization about it. But definitely, Israel is very strong in the cyber side. It's not so strong on the cyber insurance side, but it's a use case that you want to develop in the end. There's openness to hear.
Sure. So let me also, how do we figure out if there is this formal way through like the reinsurance, primary insurance? Who do I need to ask?
I'm who's responsible for it's a question. Where is the headquarters?
It's in Italy, Milan. Originally in Trieste. So now I think Milan headquarters.
In Italy. And do you know the person in Italy, Milan, who's working with the reinsurance side? Probably he will be the one.
I would need to figure that out. I think we have people that join the session now. I see 2 people.
Really? Yes. Yes. Hi guys. Are you with us? Welcome. Can you please turn on your camera or microphone so we can hear you? Hi, Ophir. Ophir, do you hear us?
The time is it's already 1:04. I'm not sure. Okay.
Ophir? Okay. Ophir, if you want to ask us something, we both are available through either the session chat or emails, and we will exchange between us if there's something you need both of us for. Because we don't hear you. Okay. Okay.
I see also Tamar, who entered the session, but it might be that. So I think that it's already timing over. I don't know if that's the table that. Thanks. Okay. Okay. So maybe we should wrap up.
You mentioned there is another session at 2:30. Is it the same? Is it one meeting room? Is it several meeting room?
I think.
Do you know?
I think it's like for each speaker there is the possibility to engage in a round table, but I'm not sure how this is set.
Okay.
And also there is
Okay.
Yeah, the B2Much platform, maybe that would be also a good place to check for further connection meetings on a one-on-one basis.
Okay. Okay.
It's a
okay. Thank you. I have to admit, I don't hear you. Sorry.
Okay.
So first of all, for me, it was really exciting to meet you. We didn't have a roundtable, but this was great to meet you and hear what you're doing. I think you're doing very exciting things, and I'm sure you will have a lot to share in the near future. I would love to stay in touch. You have my email. I will send you my phone number as well. I will check with regard to if we can work together formally, and if not, I'm always here. Share about the Israeli ecosystem, about startup, feel free to give me a call. What do you say?
Likewise. I mean, it's been a highlight to really interact with you and meet and learn more on how both companies are doing in the space of innovation and startups. Interesting ecosystem for sure, Israel. I can offer the same for the perspective that we're having from Switzerland. And indeed, let's try to catch up in a couple of months and share more on the top things that are happening, and maybe deep dive a bit more into the cyber space and see if there is an opportunity to collaborate. That would be awesome. Be a lot of fun as well. So
yes, and I will to Israel, so it's worth it.
Very nice. And if you come also, I mean, I'm just thinking probably something around chocolate or cheese.
I like it.
Good deal.
Good. It was a great pleasure. Keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Bye, Declare. Keep in touch.